there! Say, do you like fantasy novels? The new worlds to discover, magic, interesting species, and all sorts of bizarre things going on. But are there some fantasy tropes you're done with? Are you tired of the stakes being raised to the point that by the end of the story, the entire world's in the balance? Have you had enough of one-dimensional villains with no agenda other than being evil? Are you exhausted by racially and sexually homogenized casts of characters? Do you cringe when you read the words ancient prophecy? Well, then I might just have something you might be interested in. My name is Nathaniel Wayne, and I have written an illustrated fantasy novel called Dreams of Fire. And I need a little help getting it published. And one of my goals in writing this book was to avoid all of the cliches that I, for one, am absolutely tired of. There is no prophecy. There's no chosen one. There is no rising evil. There is no dark lord. It's a story about people in a world that, I'll drop the humbleness, I'm pretty proud of. So that's what it doesn't have. What does it have? Well, it's a world that is going to contain both magic and electropunk style technology. You're going to have a mix of fun technology that you don't always see clashed against magical elements. The story focuses on a young man named Ferris. And Ferris is what is known as an elemental. These are human beings who exhibit certain magical traits that they have little to no control over. He finds himself torn between the worlds of humans and the magical and very dangerous world of the Fae who dwell in the forests and the mountains. He is feared by humans, but he has nowhere else to be and to go. He is on the run. People are trying to hunt him down. This is what I like to consider a small story focused on a core group of characters, but set in a large world. A world with conflict, with grapplings for power, but from the perspective of the people on the ground. There will be large events that occur over the course of this story, but this is not a story about the movers and shakers. It's about the people just trying to live in the world. If you're interested in some more key details as to how I've approached certain elements of this book, and you want to get that kind of information before considering funding me on this Kickstarter, I have provided a playlist of author diaries that I have put out so far, and there will be more on the way as I continue to work my way through the editing process. Which brings us to, what exactly are you funding? Well, at this point, the book is almost done. It has been written, revised repeatedly. It has gone through beta reading already. It is in the editing process. What the main thing that you will be funding is to ensure a professional level of presentation. So that means things like a professionally designed book cover, a professionally designed world map, and the big thing, illustrations. I mentioned that it was an illustrated novel, and I can't actually tell you why I had that idea, but once I latched onto it, I couldn't let it go. In my ideal world, I will be able to pull together enough to have an illustration for every chapter in the book. But even if that doesn't happen, the main purpose of this Kickstarter is to allow me to be able to pay fair amount to the artists that I am working with so that we can have an appropriate number of illustrations of key moments and you can get a proper visualization of the characters as they are intended to be seen. While the main character of the story is a young man in his teens, I would like to think that the story will have appeal to a fairly wide age range. Basically, anyone who enjoys fantasy stories, and like I said, is tired of the epic quest, is tired of the evil empire, is tired of the ancient prophecies, and you just want to explore a new fantastical world and get to know what it's like to be there. Dreams of Fire will hopefully be that. Now, there are a lot of rewards that I am offering at various tiers. Everything from just the basics of my absolute gratitude for helping out in any way you can, digital copies of the book, physical copies of the book, signed copies of the book, and prints, also signed, of the world map. On the higher end, being able to name a secondary character. I don't mean like a background extra, like a character who will actually do something And if we go above and beyond the amount that I currently have this set up for, that will enable me to maybe possibly hit the goal of being able to get an illustration for every chapter in the book. But the amount that I am asking for is to cover what I consider to be the key moment illustrations and have all those bases covered. Now, you're already seeing some of the illustrations I have already commissioned to get a sense of what it is you are financing specifically in regards to this book. Because as I said, I'm going through the editing process already. The book will be done, and it will be available. The question is, what will come with it? What will be added to the presentation of my words? You can help make it something a little bit more unique, and I like to think a little bit more special. But only you can decide whether or not that happens. So whatever amount you are prepared to give and to help is greatly appreciated. Even if you're not able to do that, to spread the word about this campaign, if you have friends who you think might be interested in what it is that I'm trying to do with this book, and as I said, if you need a deeper dive, by all means, check out the playlist of my author diaries. And thank you for listening. Even if you don't support me, I appreciate that alone. So take care, be well, and thanks.